What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Meet the Critters podcast, episode 48. We got a fun one. We have a returning guest. We got Tyler Hill. What's going on, brother?
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, anytime. Yeah, we were both looking at our schedules, and we both have a handful of people we're trying to pull on and everything. And it's like, we haven't had Tyler on in a bit. Let's have him back on.
We made a couple attempts, and I kept bailing on you guys, so I apologize for that.
I feel awful because you're my first go-to if either Joe can't be on or a guest flakes at the last moment. That I'm like, let's see if Tyler. So I literally always text you either a day before or hours before.
Yeah, a couple hours.
Yeah, it's like, hey, do you want to get a podcast tonight? And you're like, no, I have life. No, I can't just pop on.
Yeah, and I almost missed this too. I don't know what was going on. I tried to log in and camera just wasn't working. So fortunately, we got everything going. We're here.
We got it figured out. So what's new?
Well, where do you want me to start?
Yeah, you have a bunch going on.
Wherever you want to start.
I remember the last time I talked to you, I was like,
I don't know.
Right.
We're kind of at the point of the spring where it's just complete pandemonium. Pretty much in over my head at this point in the spring. We have lambing. We had a couple losses there, and I can talk about that here in a minute. Obviously, we still have the pigs going on. Working on getting some feed for our pigs, things like that, the garden, all that stuff starting. We're working on fencing pasture in, working on a 5-acre pasture now. So it's been insane. I'm also trying to still be a dad and still be a husband. So all that stuff on top of a full-time job as well. It's been fun.
It's never a dull moment. Joe, your feed is good, by the way. Huh. I think you were just standing still for a little too long. But yeah. No, but man, me and Joe were just talking about that beforehand, before we jumped on the show, where it's at the point where now for me, it's almost the green light to just go off the rails and start every project that you can now that everything's warmed up and you're able to, on top of animals having babies, on top of fixing everything that's been broken over the winter. It's never a dull moment.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I do all this and then I'm thinking because this is the time that anyone that does this type of stuff, you get excited for spring. So as I'm struggling and can barely keep my head above water, I'm also thinking of other projects and starting those things off. I'm like, what am I doing here? This is insanity.
And then on top of all of that, the three of us go, and then we have to film it and edit it and then put it on the internet for whoever to watch.
Correct. Yeah. And I've definitely slowed down a little bit with that. Not really by choice. I would love to be out, but there's times I'll just have a couple minutes. I'll run out and get something done. And I'm like, I can't waste time here videoing and putting the camera around. It's just, it's not going to happen. So.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Me and Kyle were just talking about the craziness that's been going on here the last couple of days. So yeah, it's, oh man. I mean, I'm right there, to the breaking point where I'm just, I told God, everything's either dying or leaving at this point. I'm fed up with it. It's
your wife's ratting you out already.
Yeah.
What'd you almost kill today, Joe?
Well, a herd of cows, pigs, everything. It's just been a bad couple days. Yesterday we started calving, and Danae's heifer, the one that we've been all excited about, she had a rough calving, and normally I only check cows once a day because I wasn't expecting them to calve for at least another week. And we went up the feed round bale, and I looked out across and I see she's laid out on her side, all bloated up. I was like, great, she's dead. So I take off running over there. She's still alive, but then I see the calf hanging out of her. Beautiful gray colored Hereford heifer calf. So I tried pulling and I couldn't get it out. Her heifer's all bloated up on her side. So I got her rolled back up, try to release some of the gas because that'll kill them within minutes, start suffocating them. So we got her back and we still couldn't pull the calf. So I ended up having to roll the cow over all the way over on her back up onto her feet, kind of. And finally got the calf pulled right out then. Like I just had to get it twisted around the right way. And meanwhile, we're doing this all by hand. We don't have equipment up there. Get the calf pulled out, and the heifer's still down right now. We've got her drinking electrolytes and eating hay and stuff. She's just not wanting to stand. I'm wondering if she pinched something when she was laid out like that. It was a big calf. I mean, it had to be 120-pound heifer calf. And then we had one of our Santa Gertrudis. She calved yesterday. Had a baby litter of rabbits a couple days ago. I haven't filmed any of this stuff because I've been so busy. You know, fences are all broken. All the calves from last year are getting out every day, tearing fences down because all the fresh grass is starting to pop up and they refuse to eat the hay. They don't want to eat nasty old dry hay when they got fresh grass on the other side of the fence. And so I've been dealing with that. And finally, I was trying to get bacons done this morning, and Danae calls, cows are in the road. And I had it. I was like, that's it. We got them up to where they needed to be. They wouldn't go through the gate. They just kept running around us. I almost came down to the shop and just grabbed the rifle and started dropping stuff. Like
we've all had those moments.
Oh yeah.
And I've gotten to the point. I think I'm going to sell. Feeder prices are great right now. I think I'm going to end up selling the feeders that I have, and keep the breeding stock, because the breeding stock usually don't get out unless the fence is tore down. Fence usually isn't tore down, but the calves keep going through. So I end up having to build fence today and I just gave up and put them out on pasture earlier than I wanted to, but I didn't have a choice. They were just going to keep getting out if I didn't do it. So, and then fence wasn't working right. Some of the old poly wires shorting out. So I got to go get new poly wire in the morning and put new fence up, and yeah, nightmare. Pigs don't want to stay where they're supposed to or go where they need to. We had our one gilt. She had a litter 2 weeks ago now. And like Danae said, we have a house pig we're bottle feeding because it wasn't doing good. Bottle feeding lambs. We got 2 more litters of pigs due anytime. They're swollen right up. So trying to get them in where they need to be to get them farrowed out. So yeah.
Springtime. I'm right at the point now where I'm looking at it where it's like, all right, I have a month. Before these pigs are supposed to be born. My main pig paddock is completely torn up with a 12-foot tall pile of manure in the middle of it. And my neighbors who are doing all the earthwork for me, they're getting a pig and a couple other stuff. So it's like they're doing earthwork and giving me some lumber. But they're on a cruise for the next 2 weeks. So it's like, I need to get this done, because if I don't get it done soon enough, I'm going to start freaking out, because I don't want both pigs farrowing out back with the boar still. So I'm
surprised you don't utilize the stalls in your barn for situations like that.
Yeah, I know. I should. But again, it's getting the girls moved and stuff like that. They're easy enough. I probably could just lead them with a bucket, but it still freaks me out.
I had to walk mine from way out back. And
I know.
Yeah, I've never had luck leading them like that. Once they're in, they're in.
Well, it's like my girl.
I didn't either. I gave up, and I gave up on them, and they showed up where they were supposed to be. I don't know how that worked out for me, but
it did.
It did.
My girls are so good. I probably could just lead them. They come to me. They have better recall than the dogs half the time, which one of them I'm about to put in a whole lot back as well, because he won't lay the goddamn down. But yeah, so I'm like, I need to get that done. I need to get all the feeders into the cooler and sold more importantly than getting them in the cooler, but get them out so I can rebuild that hardwire fence I threw up in 20 minutes in the middle of winter, so I can get the boar in there for the rest of the summer, so he's not pushing through fences to get to the sows once they go back into heat.
Yeah,
so I have to do all of this in a matter of like 3 weeks.
Exactly.
On top of customers' animals that are coming in.
Yeah, it's a race against the clock at this point.
That's how farming is. Yeah. No matter what you do.
Yeah, it's feast or famine.
Unless you have a large farm that you've got money to spend and you got employees that can help you with that stuff. Like what we're doing, first generation farmers, small farm, we've all got actual full-time jobs on top of the farm stuff, and we all have young kids and family life to deal with. Yeah, it can get frustrating at times. Like, I definitely think we need to all get together and do like a episode on just like burnout.
Oh, it's definitely real, especially the last couple of days. I mean, there's been nights I've come home from work and I'm just like, all right, I don't want to do anything. And that's like the worst thing, especially like we're talking about. There's so much to get done and you don't want to get anything done, but it's definitely real. We're kind of at that point now where it's a race against the clock for our sheep. We have our winter pasture is completely overgrazed. It's definitely overgrazed to the point where it gets concerning as far as parasite pressure, worm pressure, things like that. So we're racing to get this next 5 acres fenced in. We got all the tensile run, everything's tightened up. We just got to get the gates on and get some power to it. So I'm hoping tomorrow we get at least a good chunk of that done, and we're pretty much at least ready to get them over there. Leading them over there is going to be another story, but we'll figure that out. It's getting to that point though where the manure load on that pasture is starting to be concerning, especially with the lambs that we're having. It's just ticking. The clock's ticking. We got to move, and then coming home late, working on that stuff. It's definitely a lot.
That, and you get to the point where you want to get them out in the fresh pasture before you miss out on the spring rain opportunity to get that grass coming back.
Correct.
Because once it's overgrazed and it's stunted, and you miss that rain, you might be fall before you even get those sheep back to that pasture. So
and right now the pasture they're on, I kind of consider that our sacrificial. I don't plan on getting them back there until at least winter. It's the closest to the house. It's probably the safest. I actually I opened up. We have just netting on one side. The one perimeter is just netting, and I opened that up the other day. There's actually some Christmas trees in there from years past, and I just realized my brother sprayed it too, and the sheep are in there grazing. I'm like, oh my God. So right away, the sheep come back over. I'm like, yeah, they can't be over there. Now I'm just watching. I'm like, please tell me I don't have dead sheep everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
It all worked out. They're okay. And
good.
Well, that's the other thing.
How's the bottle lambs?
So the bottle lambs, we lost the one. They were doing great. I mean, I don't know a lot about what I think it was. It was drunken lamb syndrome. I went over just the one afternoon, and he was just all over the place, like where he'd get up and literally just flip over backwards. I've never seen an animal act the way he did. He was completely fine up until that point. He was actually the one that was probably stronger most of the time. Right. And like I said, that one day, just acting so weird. I had read something that you can use, what is it? Baking soda, like a baking soda water flush. So I had been doing that a little bit. I guess it like breaks down the acidity in their muscle or whatever. And he actually seemed to be responding to it to the point where the next afternoon I walked over, he jumped up, was running around like he was completely fine, followed me for about 200 yards up the hill. And then later on that night I come over and he couldn't even move again. And we lost him that night. So it happened so quickly. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened or how it happened, but yeah. And then the other one, our female, I guess you would probably say she's a little more valuable in the sheep world. You always want to keep your females around for breeding purposes. But week 2, I come home from work one night, couldn't find the dog. So I'm like, I say to my wife, I'm like, where's the dog? And she's like, I left him out. Look over, he's over there. I see his tail wagging. The other lamb follows him down the pasture. I'm like, here we go. But I couldn't find the female. I'm like, here, she's gone. I'm like, he killed it. But then I'm thinking, there's no way. He doesn't have a harmful bone in his body. There's no way he killed this lamb. So I was over there till, it was probably 10 o'clock at night looking for this thing. Finally gave up. I'm like, I guess he spooked her off. The next day, I'm actually at work, and my mother-in-law was here watching the kids. And she texted us. She said, look who's home. Somebody found her about a half mile out the road. Yeah. Half mile out the road, had the wherewithal to kind of figure out where she belonged to and brought her back here. So it's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
That is the one bad thing about like bottle lambs. They don't have a mom to call them back when they wander off.
And what I'm thinking may have happened is when one of us were feeding, that she ended up trailing us, and they're so small they can get through the fence. Like, we see that now. If we're out in the yard for a while or over at the garden, she'll come right down and come out of the fence, which has definitely been a challenge. But I think that's what happened. Then she ended up getting lost. And
it's also the most adorable challenge on the planet. Like when I screwed up my fence and had my fence upside down, so I just had piglets everywhere for like 2 months. There's a part of it. It's like get in the fence. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? And then you're out there and you're like, these things are so freaking cute. Like I'm not even that mad.
Yep.
Like it's like I don't want you to be hurt.
Yeah, like the other night, she was out the other night and I was doing some stuff with the pigs and I just was walking around with her. She was just following me right up onto our porch. And then finally I'm like, all right, time to go back in.
Right.
She's going to be like 10, 11 months old. You're going to be looking out. She's going to be laying on that porch with the dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, she's a female, so she'll stick around because I know my daughter's attached to her. So that would be a tough one.
I saw that. I was bringing it up. Haas. Question. I was told that if a dog kills livestock, you have to put it down because it will continue to do it. Can you train them not to attack? Is this true? I mean,
I guess it would depend.
In my experiences, like if a dog kills something, it's gonna continue to kill stuff. Like that's just in it. But yeah,
it depends on the dog.
Yeah,
it really depends on the dog and how well it's trained for the specific owner.
Like our lab, I've seen him just murk. I don't know how many chickens, turtles, everything. Cat, like not get cats, but go after cats. And now he's just old and demented, and a cat will literally lay on him at night. So it's like, again, once they get old enough to the point you don't have to worry about them, I guess it's fine. But yeah, if you're worried about like it continuing to do it as a young dog, more than likely it will.
Yeah, I mean, most dogs are going to go after chickens and kill them. But even that, I mean, our dog, he just wants to play with them. He's harmless. I would say probably if it's meant to be kind of like that livestock guardian dog type, if they're going to kill, well, yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know if you necessarily need to put them down, but the farm probably isn't the right setting for them at that point.
It needs to go somewhere else.
Right.
But again, it's also breed dependent too, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I had a Rottie, and I had her for a few years before we got into raising chickens and stuff, and she loved killing the chickens. But then I figured out she was doing it because they ran, and it was a game to her.
Mm-hmm.
She'd catch them, they'd stop moving. She was done. She'd go to the next one. And she did that with a couple cats also, unfortunately, for the cat people. But once I found out why she was doing it, I broke her of it, and she was good. She still had that instinct, though, that if it ran, she was going to chase it. But as long as I was there, she'd listen to me really well. I'd call her off, and she was fine. An old farmer that I used to work for, he had a German Shepherd mix that would come over they lived right next door. It would come over to our house and kill our chickens. And he ended up, it was an old trick that they did. He's like, hey, bring one of those dead chickens over. And this is a farm dog. So he's outside, mind you. He tied the dead chicken tightly around its neck so he couldn't get it off for about 2 weeks. The dog never killed the chicken again after that. He said it works almost every time because they get bored of it. They got sick of smelling it. They don't want to deal with it. And so it might not work for all dogs, but I know it worked for that dog. He never came over and bothered another bird ever again. So like I said, it has to be, dog dependent and how well it's trained.
Yeah. So Haas put in, okay, I saw the news article about, I'm assuming Nebraska governor had to put down his 18-month-old dog because it killed stuff on the farm. I personally wouldn't do that. Like, it'd be like, all right, like Tyler said, all right, it doesn't belong on a farm. It can probably go somewhere else that doesn't have livestock.
That was probably more because of who it was. That would be my guess. There's
right. Yeah, that's why they're pissed off. It's like, again, have I been in situations like that? Sure. But I don't know. I guess it kind of depends. I don't mean one way or another on that. I don't know any of the information besides that. So
Now, I will say I have some concern where our new pasture is going to be. It's actually going to be right on the road, and we have a lot of people that walk their dogs by. So I'm concerned about dog pressure. I would hope that they'd hit the fence and be good, but you never know. So that's something that definitely has been on my mind.
Yep. Yeah,
and I would never. I mean, I would never go after somebody and tell them they got to put their dog down either. That's not my place to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if they're walking the dog, hopefully they have control over it.
Right.
I mean, that's a big thing. Like, you know, you do your best to make sure the fences are tight enough that it doesn't happen, but there's always that chance no matter what. I mean, I don't care how tight of a fence you put up. If something wants to get in, they're that determined they're going to get in.
Yep.
I mean, I had a dog climb a 10-foot dog kennel that I put up right up over the top just to get out because he didn't want to be in there. Right. I mean, they're smart, just like coyotes and everything else.
Tyler's just going to spend half the summer sitting in a lawn chair at the edge of his driveway, just like, I didn't control your dog.
I'll have a sign out
there. For Tyler to get a new livestock guardian dog.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, hold that dog back. I know those yoga pants are barely holding back those thighs, but hold that goddamn dog back.
That or the people touching my fence. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they do sell signs for that.
Yeah, I know.
Signs are there are a bunch of farms around here that's like, yeah, these are commercial, these are personal animals. Please do not feed them. Please do not touch them. Like,
yep.
Yeah,
they're a foot off.
No trespassing signs. Because once they step over on your property and they touch a fence, that's their own fucking problem.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. I mean, if you're dumb enough to walk by and grab someone's fence, you deserve to get shot.
Yeah, the scary thing is, in today's day, though, anybody would sue for anything. So, definitely cover my own and
put posted signs up on your fence posts, and a couple of those electric signs, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's actually funny.
My problem is all my animals want to go right in the main road.
Of course, yeah.
They get out, and I don't know why they're drawn to that road.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like, I got to put up like 2x4 mesh fencing all the way around my whole property to keep them away from the road with gates. It's the only way I'm going to keep them out of there. And somehow they'll still find their way out there. I don't know how, but they will.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. We're working on this, and we don't have a lot of neighbors, obviously, where we're at. But, the few neighbors we do have, now they're all curious as to what we're doing and asking how many sheep are we going to get? Well, we've had sheep for 2 years. They've just been on the other side of the farm. So it's pretty funny to.
Yeah, I know we're gonna be clearing out some of the trees next to the pig pen. So I was thinking like I need to start getting signs like that, and I thought I was gonna just go like off the rails and just get a random one like caution alligators or something and like put it in between it, so people just like what like.
This is a high fence hunting farm. Believe it with your board.
Something complete like a sign for like caution nudists or something weird, just so people drive. Just don't make it a big deal. Just have it among all the rest of them, and just have people be like, "What did that just say?"
Oh yeah, today. Yeah, that we had at our old place. We had neighbors for a little while that had an autistic kid, and he loved coming. He just wandered over. He didn't speak or nothing, and he'd climb right in the pig pen and sit mud and all. He'd sit right down in the middle of those pigs, and they'd come up and they'd be nudging him and everything else, and he loved it. And his mom would freak out. It's like, watch your kid. Fine. He wanders.
There you go.
Just get a fake life-size alligator to put in there. Just one of those pool floats.
No, not hashtag free Albert. Jesus.
So what else you got going on, Tyler?
Well, I just actually got my hands on some brewer's grain to supplement the pig feed. So that was a huge win for me. Hooked up with a local brewery. So it's not too far out of my way, my commute to work. So I basically hook up every week. The guy lets me know when he's brewing. The next day I pretty much pick up. It's 300 pounds of grain, so it's a good amount for what I got going on right now. So it definitely helps cut down the costs for sure. I'm not sure what type of nutrition that is. Obviously, they're still foraging and things like that, but I imagine it can't be much different than the traditional grain you'd be giving them.
The feed mill you get your feed from, they might have basic nutrition.
Right.
Because I know some feed mills will offer, they hook up with them and they resell it.
Yeah.
Maybe ask them when you pick up pig feed next time if they got like a basic breakdown. So you kind of got an idea. I mean, it's not going to be 100% accurate to the mash that you're getting, but give you a good general idea of what you're getting out of it.
Yeah, but, I mean, they seem to like it. So again, it's 300 pounds of something that I can throw into them. It's definitely, it's been a good gig so far. The only thing is it's a little difficult to store. Obviously, the stuff when it comes, it's a little bit moist, I guess you'd say. So there's that chance that you get some mold and scum and stuff like that on there. But for the most part, I've been going through it. What's that?
You need to put it out. Like it's not something you can store for a long time. Which when I was getting it, I stopped getting it because my pigs wouldn't eat it. Like my pigs would not touch it. The cows destroyed it. Yeah. I would load up the cows. I'd load up to the cows to the point I'd be like, I need to hold off because they're going to bloat. Like something bad's going to happen if they eat any more of this.
Yeah, I first threw it in and I'm like, they just looked at it. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. I'm like, I got all this grain. I don't want to leave this guy down because I've been kind of pestering him for a while and they're not going to eat this. But then, after about 10, 15 minutes, they were all in and now they're going crazy when I go over there. So it's all worked out.
Gotta love it. Rachel, is the whole thing blurry? Or is it just me? Because I've noticed in editing all the podcast stuff that I'm definitely blurry. I need to try and get a better camera for this. But let me know down there. So all this fun technology stuff.
Yeah.
I know.
Speaking of technology stuff, I was telling Kyle before we hopped on here,
you're upgrading.
I got a new tripod. I got a new selfie stick, which my wife was picking on me about. And I got new mics too they actually work pretty good. I was surprised.
You can't laugh at you. It's a tax write-off.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
They're not high-end stuff. I'm not going to go throw hundreds of dollars into it when I'm not even close to making money off this yet. But it's my old tripod I broke, wrangling pigs and stuff. And I was telling Danae, I said, I can't film any of these projects I'm doing right now because I have no way of setting my phone up to record. So I just broke down and bought it. And so far, I mean, it's working good. I messed around with it a little bit yesterday. I ended up editing 4 long videos early this morning. I've been up since about 1:30. So yeah, I could not get back to sleep. And I'm like, I'm gonna get on here. Yeah, I edited a bunch and then I did some more shorts. I got to pull some more off. So
yeah. No, it's like, because I'm finally getting back into more long form stuff. I took a bit of a break there for a minute. But now we're getting back. And then it's like, I'm hitting a stride on TikTok. So now all of a sudden, before when I wasn't posting shorts from my videos or the podcast and things like that, because no one cared. Now all of a sudden I have this massive influx of subscribers and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll start throwing these out. And all of a sudden I'm getting 1,000 views on a video and sending a bunch of people to YouTube. And it's like, oh, right. This is how cross-platform promotion works. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Know.
Kyle finally guilt tripped and my wife into making a TikTok for Blakesley Acres. I've been playing with it a little bit. It's a lot different than YouTube. Like it's a whole different ballgame.
It's so different.
I'm kind of getting used to it. It's nice, the whole different community over there and stuff. So
I've kind of gone off of it, honestly. I don't know. Maybe it's just been too busy, but I haven't really spent much time over there for sure.
Yeah. Well, it was like I was saying to Joe, because he was saying before we got on, like he's like, I was trying to play with it, but I was too pissed off today. I'm like, no, you need to be in like a somewhat light and bubbly headspace in order to make TikTok content, or just be the maddest you've ever been and put out that style of video. If you're going into it like, all right, I need to like act a bunch to look happy or whatever in this video or do something silly or stupid, like it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, like I didn't have it in me today, but that I'm going to try it maybe tomorrow. I've got a beef coming to slaughter and then I got chickens being dropped off for Monday. So I'm going to play around with it a little bit.
I don't know. I joke about it. It's like my ADD superpower is TikTok. Like I found the one thing that this thing that's been a struggle my entire life clicks into immediately.
Yeah, my wife's ratting me out. I laid myself out hard yesterday while I was watering the animals.
Let's hear it.
Oh man, it was bad. Like it's one of those things where my temper can get the best of me sometimes, and I usually don't let it. But one of those things, I was carrying 2 water buckets, and I have a round bale I'm feeding the goats and the sheep off right now because I ran out of square bales, and I went to step around it. Well, there's a ditch from the spring that goes right in front of my garage. Well, the loose hay was kind of covering up the edge of it, and it was muddy. And I caught that, and I didn't even have time to catch myself. Those buckets dragged me down. I went out, and I was laying face first in the ground. Like I thought I broke my wrist for a minute. And I was covered with 10 gallons of cold water, and I'm laying down in the ditch full of water. And I just laid there for a second. I rolled over, and I got up, and I just started laughing. Like I couldn't help it. I wish she was recording it. That would have made a phenomenal TikTok video. Like I wish I could have seen myself going down, like face first, no hands out or nothing. So I had 2 buckets of water, just head to toe covered, soaked. And I'm just laying there in the ditch full of water. I'm like, oh God. I roll over and I'm like, she's like, is it broken? I was like, I don't know. I can't move it yet. And finally I just started laughing. She's like, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? Usually when I get hurt, I either get really pissed or I laugh it off so I don't get really pissed. And it was one of those things where I had to laugh it off. And I know it would have been hilarious if it was recorded. I wish that somebody would have caught that on camera.
Yeah. Zach over at Tri-Oaks Acres. My temper goes from 0 to felony.
Yeah,
that's been great.
Oh,
Rachel, don't show that to people.
I seen that and I was like, oh man.
Rachel Brown, I've been showing Kyle's D's Nuts skit from Telegram.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
No, that was a TikTok. That was on TikTok. That did fairly well. It didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do, but it did fairly well.
Yeah, the way you held them up, I'm like,
yeah.
Yep.
I was like, this is fine. This will be all right.
And that was the day before I got that Highland Bull in, and I'm skinning them out, and that's all I could think of. I was like,
these nuts.
Kyle.
I even put it in the long form video.
Did you?
No, I sure did. I couldn't.
We haven't watched it yet because the kids haven't been home this weekend. I've been waiting for Gage so he can get that shout out.
Yeah, about halfway through, there's a couple moments of like, oh yeah. I even call it out. I'm like, sorry, Joe. Sorry about that. Yep, I said that out loud, and your son's gonna watch this. So sorry about that.
Speaking of processing, we actually we processed our ram as well. A couple weeks ago. Yeah, I was telling you guys before, he was way too aggressive. You couldn't even, and I knew with lambing coming up, there was no way we were getting in there. So we put him down, got him in the freezer. He was 3 years old. So I was a little hesitant with the quality of the meat, but he's honestly, it's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah. Gotta love it. How did it go? Like, was it smooth?
Well, my biggest concern was honestly the shot. Just knowing, I don't know if it just looked intimidating because the horns and everything on him. But once I got the shot down, everything else was very smooth.
Perfect. Yeah. How'd he skin out? Like, did he skin out pretty decent?
Pretty easy.
Being a 3-year-old ram?
Yeah, pretty easy.
I did a ram last week for a lady, and he was kind of, he wasn't super tough, but you could tell going from like a year-old ram to like a 6-month-old lamb.
Yeah.
And she was asking me, she just started raising sheep recently, and I told her, I said, it would help if you castrated them. Like because she's got like 2 or 3 ewes, and she's got like 5 rams now from all the ones, because she hasn't castrated any of them. So I told her, I said, that's what, as soon as they're little, band them 8 weeks old or whatever, and just you'll get a lot more fat on them that way. If that's what you're looking for. I mean, everybody has their personal preference, I think.
Yeah,
I heard that the hair sheep meat is a lot more mild anyway versus wool sheep. So
yeah, definitely. I was actually going to grind them up.
Processing hair sheep a lot better than wool sheep for sure.
Yeah. I haven't done any hair sheep myself yet, but I'm looking forward to it just to see the difference.
Yeah, it really wasn't bad for someone that, again, doesn't know a whole heck of a lot what we're doing. It wasn't bad. I was actually, being that it's an older animal, I was going to grind him, but I ended up leaving some roasts and stuff, and they're really good. Definitely really good. Throw them in the crock pot. I prefer probably the grind because you can do a lot more with it, but it worked out well. The head, it was too cool to not do anything with, and I was looking up, and I think, Kyle, you were talking at the time, ironically enough, about boiling skulls and things like that. Right. I was thinking about doing it, but I'm like, I just have too much going on right now. So it's gonna sound savage what I'm doing, but I actually have it mounted literally right next to my chicken coop. So all the maggots and stuff are falling off. The chickens are feasting, and we'll see if they can clean it up.
That doesn't sound savage at all. That sounds economical. I have my steer skull hanging from my shooting range. That sounds worse. I
would hang it right in there. I would have let the chickens pick all the extra stuff off of it.
It is. Yeah. It's all. Yep. It's not the best smelling thing over there, but
yeah. I've got a Highland skull that I haven't had a chance to do anything with, and I'm like, it's naturally getting cleaned at this point because I just don't have the time.
Oh, dude, I have heads everywhere that I don't want to do anything with. I have those three Highland skulls, 2 of which were mummified, that are still sitting in the water trough on the dolly on the corner of the slaughter floor. 2 pig skulls sitting in buckets, getting ready, like they're massacrated, getting ready to work them. And then I've got my steer that I put in last fall hanging out back. And it's like there's just stuff everywhere, and I'm just like, God, no. Like I need to like actually put time into them. But now, of course, we're getting busy again. So I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be a stinky, like I'm gonna have to plan a stinky week at some point and just do all of them. But
I just booked another Highland. So
yeah,
but I can't complain. As long as I've got work, I'm not going to complain. Same thing with the chickens.
Exactly. You can't complain about it. It is what it is.
I just bought that brand new scalder, and I'm like, I spent the money on it. I might as well make your life easier. Yeah, I might as well do the poultry, even if it's just filler stuff. You know, people ask if I have time, I'll do it. If not, I don't do it. I did book 70 turkeys.
That's what's nice about it, because I remember at first it was like I took anything and everything. Yeah. And you get burned out.
Get your name out there.
Right. And then all of a sudden you look at it and you go, no, I can make enough for this. Just doing this. I know I'm going to keep this customer if I move him a week or two. Like, I can get this going. Zach, you're wrong. Highlands are not sweet. You're just trying to rile me up. I don't like it. Get swelled up on the podcast. I don't like it.
Sweet as Satan's ass crack.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I had always wanted.
I really hope that clips out. I really hope that's a clip that Opus pulls.
You guys swayed me the other way.
Oh, that's right. You wanted Highlands, didn't you?
Well, it was, I think, my wife. she thought they were.
Yeah, they all
do. I mean, they are.
Yeah, they're so fluffy. Yeah, it hides all the murder.
The 2 Highlands I'm doing right now, it's because they keep getting out and they had a bad attitude.
Yeah.
The one that I hung up the other day. And then it was funny because he was here filling out his cut sheet when the other person called, and he started laughing because he knows who they are, because they're only like 2 miles down the road from him, he said. And they're like, yeah, this one's aggressive, and we need someone to come out and take care of it here. We can't. I guess they usually use a USDA processor, but
right.
That's where I'm back and forth at. Like, I can pick up a lot of work if I go USDA, but at the same time, then I can't do this specialty custom stuff for people, and it's a needed thing around here. So I'm like, and you have to have complete separation. You can't do both unless you have the space.
It's hard because
4 coolers.
Like I don't have the partner situation. where it's like definitely leaning where you're leaning back and forth of whether USDA or custom. Like I am all set. There is no way I'm going USDA. I'd have to basically tear down my building and build a new one if I wanted to do that the right way.
Like, I think eventually we will end up going USDA just because there's such a high demand here for it, plus other stuff we've got going on in the background. It's just the way it is. And the nice thing is we started from scratch with our building. We got to build it, you know, kind of the way we wanted it. It's not exactly the way I wanted it, but we're getting there with the new slaughter floor and the coolers and the freezer space and the loadout area. Everything's going to flow so much nicer. I'm excited. The Amish are going to be here Monday to start doing the trusses and steel work. So hopefully within 2, maybe 3 weeks, depending on weather, the building will be dried in. So
nice.
Maybe sooner. I'm just giving them. I'm just giving them leeway because I know we have more rain coming, and I don't want to do steel work in the rain. I wouldn't blame them if they didn't want to. So
yeah, and then I got to get in there and get the chicken coop cleaned and do all that. Every now and then I just forget. I'm like, oh God, no! Now I have to deal with chickens again. I've got 12. But now it's like they're starting to get their feathers and everything in, and I'm like, they're going to be flying out of that tub soon. And I'm like, I have the big like standing brooder, which I set up a couple of years ago, which is nice, but it's still like it was 23 degrees this morning. I'm like, yeah, there's heat lamps and everything in there, but still, like, so I'm waiting for them to get like fully feathered, and as soon as they start really flying out, it's like, all right, now you're getting moved out. But
we just moved our meat chickens into the barn because we're still getting frosts and everything's so muddy and wet. I don't want to put them out on the pasture yet, but they outgrew that brooder. Like they're 3 weeks going on 4 weeks Monday. And I ended up putting them in the small stall in the barn just to give them some more space. I took them completely off heat. They're almost feathered out. But I mean, for us, you know, especially you, Tyler, you're super close to them. That Freedom Ranger hatchery, those white Rangers are awesome. I'm super happy with them so far.
Is that what you're running with this year, the Rangers?
I've done Rangers for 6 or 8 years now. From Freedom Ranger hatchery. Now you got the knockoffs from other hatcheries. Directly from Freedom Ranger hatchery. Their customer service is next to none. They're close to us, so if you have them shipped, they're there within a day. I mean, you're probably close enough to pick them up.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. Where exactly is that? Do you know?
I can't remember the name of the town, but it's Southern PA. They're only. I think it's a 3-hour drive for me.
You'll have to look that up. Yeah, we typically run the Cornish. We've done the Red Rangers, a bunch, but mostly the Cornish.
So what I'm running this year is Freedom Ranger last year came out with a white Ranger, and it's their Cornish variety, and they hit weight between 8 and 10 weeks depending. These this year's batch, they're on mark to 8 weeks old as long as you keep the feed to them. They sent me 4 extra. I lost those 4 extra because overcrowding because it was so cold. I didn't have enough heat lamps in the brooder to get them to spread out. Other than that, I haven't, knock on wood, I had none dead in shipping or nothing.
Hold on.
I had some luck with them.
Rachel has a literal ugly duckling situation. So apparently they gave her 3 geese at Tractor Supply instead of 3 ducks. And what she should do, sell them immediately. Sell them immediately. Facebook Marketplace. Get rid of them.
Yeah, especially if you're on small acreage.
Yeah, you do not want 3 geese with what you have going on over there already.
Yeah, they're gonna be lawnmowers and they're gonna be loud.
Yeah, not just loud, but I've had one goose that was decent. Every other goose that we've ever had, they are jerks. You know, they get to the point, especially when they start nesting, you forget about it. They're gonna come after you.
See, it's like more than likely I will get geese once we get the rest of the paddocks fenced in and I really start moving birds across and stuff. But right now, while everything's at the house, there's no way.
The last 2 geese we had, they were short lived. My buddy, he likes pulling stuff on me, and he'll just randomly start dropping off animals. Nice. And one day he texted me, he said, "Hey, do you want some geese?" I said, "No, not really." He's like, "Well, I already dropped them off. You're welcome." And they were full grown geese he just brought to my house and dropped off because we had a pond. And fantastic. They would chase the kids around and stuff. Well, I short temper. They spent a few $100s on plants for my garden that year, and I look out the window after working super hard planting plants, and I see them out there plucking all my onion sets. And then I was like, I put them in 2-3 times, chased them out of there, and I'm like, all right, I've had it. I went out, and a couple hours later, I planted my tomato plants. I look out there. I told Danae, I said, one more time, they're done. Well, I look out there, and they're pulling my brand new tomato plants up out of the ground, grabbed the 22 mag with the rifle on it, and got one right in the garden. I went out the back door and took the one off the pond, and I said, there.
Christmas dinner's early this year.
Yeah. I don't have patience. Just like I had to do a permanent attitude adjustment on our rooster a couple days ago. Yeah, I gave him plenty of chances, and he didn't learn his lesson. So we no longer have a rooster.
That's one thing I've been so lucky with. All our roosters here have always been very low temperament. I don't know. I guess it's just a luck thing, but I know they can be aggressive. That's for sure.
Well, that's what I was worried about. I was like, oh, I don't want a rooster at all. And then I get to the grain store, and they're like, they're all pullets. I'm like, thank God. Thank God. I don't want to have to deal with that.
I love having a rooster because I like, when the hens have the chicks and stuff like that. But I've always, like, if I have aggressive roosters, they get called immediately, and I only keep the ones that are super docile. My brother over on his place has still got my original Easter egg rooster. God, he's got to be 6 years old, but he's such a nice rooster that I couldn't get rid of him. I mean, the kids could go out there and do whatever they wanted. They could go in and collect eggs. I didn't have to worry about it. And like, if they're aggressive here, they don't last very long. I got kids that want to help me do chores, and I'm not going to discourage my kids to come out and learn, having the life on the farm because I've got aggressive animals. It's not, same thing with, you, Tyler, you had to make that decision with your ram. You got your daughter and going out there with you. You can't take those chances when you have kids. And if you do, I mean, I guess more power to you, but I'd just rather not,
Yeah, and it was impossible. I mean, you couldn't, even myself, like I didn't even want to go in there with him because he'd charge you as soon as you stepped over the fence. So, I mean, the decision was easy. It's just, I guess my only hang up was the genetics. He was Texas Dall. Sheep are definitely larger frame. So I liked having that genetic kind of mixed in there for some larger animals, but the trade-off is worth it. And the ram I actually have kind of as his replacement. He's a pretty good size for a Katahdin, so it all worked out, I think.
Oh, you ended up replacing him already?
Yeah, so I actually picked him up last year, last summer. So the funny thing is I don't know which genetics we got in these new lambs. I think it was from the original, but I'm not 100% sure because they were in there together.
They're there.
So they're there.
Because I'm so close to the PA border, I always, especially on the listings on the Facebook groups and stuff, there's a decent amount of hair sheep breeders in PA. Yeah, I'm sure that the ones that I was looking at were St. Croix. I've seen there was a few people down mid PA that breed those. That would be a good one to cross, and when you're ready for your next ram.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people will do. A lot of people, that's a very popular cross, the Katahdin St. Croix. They're so similar. The St. Croix are a little smaller.
But they're smaller. I thought
a little bit.
I thought it was the other way around. Katahdins were smaller than the St. Croix.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the St. Croix are a little smaller, but they're similar. They're so similar. Yeah. Obviously, they're parasite resistant in a lot of ways. So it's a good cross there.
But it's like. Back to like with the ram and the roosters and stuff like that. It's like the hard part about farming and doing this, especially on a smaller scale, where, I mean, you could AI a bunch of stuff. You're not going to AI birds if you're looking at breeding birds and stuff like that. But that's the hard part is if you want certain genetics, you're holding over an animal that you really need for 1 month out of the year.
Yeah.
Technically, it's not even a full month. You just need him to do it a handful of times. And then he's just there. So he's already a bit of a burden. And if he's a jerk on top of it and is coming after you all the time, it's like, we can't do this. Like, I can't imagine if Red, like our boar, was mean. It'd be like, there's no way. He's 450, 500 pounds of running at you. And it's like, no, like, we're not going to play that game.
That's where I'm at with the pigs right now, because after we have the rest of our litters, I'm like, I don't really want to breed again until to have them for January piglets, because that's when we're getting the best sales. I'd like to get in with the 4-H'ers and donate a piglet or two to the program just to help the kids out. But there's a lot of different stuff I got to do for that. I still have to figure out. But now I'm feeding all my breeding pigs for the rest of the year without no income from them, because I'm not raising feeders this year either. Not that I want to. We'll see how these ones sell. But so now I'm like, do I keep breeding pigs? Do I take a step back and get a better facility for it? Because it is rough in the wintertime here. You got to have, good facilities to have them farrow out in January.
Right.
Yeah.
In our climates, it's just the way it is. So I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing. And the bad part is I've got the genetics that I want right now, and most of our pigs, except for the Mangalitsa cross, are fairly easy to handle. They're nothing like your pigs, Kyle. I mean, yours are like big puppy dogs. You can
they're such babies. I love them so much. They are such big babies.
I can move them around and I can handle them, and I'm not worried about getting attacked or anything crazy like that, unless they have piglets. Like most of my sows, I can't just go in there and willingly start picking up piglets without.
I'm interested to see how Fiona does. Tally's decent. Tally is like, hey, what are you doing with my kid? And runs at you a bit. I'm interested because Fiona is a bit. Yeah, she's interesting. I mean, again, she's calm enough. I can kiss her on the nose, but as once you start stealing her babe, she runs quick. She's quick.
Oh yeah, they're quick. They're definitely quick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like all my 2 blue butt sows, they're awesome pigs when they don't have piglets, and I don't mind, like, as long as they're not like, I can go in, I can clean the pen as soon as I pick one of them up. I don't want to sell that. As soon as I get in the pen, they're attacking me. Like, I'm not even going near the piglets. But I don't know. It's a tough decision to make if we're going to take a step back from breeding or figure out what we're going to do over this year. So, but I got to put all that feed into them to get to the next litter of piglets. So, We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I think too that there's part of it where you run these same cycles over and over again. Like, I'm at the point where, okay, we'll farrow some piglets, we'll raise them out. Do I want to continue to do this, or do I want to actually try a different line of genetics, a different breed? Obviously, you guys know we have the Hampshire AGH cross. They're good, and I like them because they're very friendly as well. They're easy to work with, a little bit smaller. But then, part of me is thinking, do I want to keep breeding them, or do I want to, jump into something different? So after today, I think we're going to have another litter of piglets from when I was over there. I'm pretty confident that that job was done. We already have the ones we're raising out now, which will be ready late fall. So we're definitely in for another cycle. And then after that, I guess we got to make a decision on what we want to do. Right. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a lot of pigs for just us. It's pretty easy to offload the few that we do have, but it's just a matter of, is it the right thing for us? Do we want to go down a different road? It's all decisions we got to make.
That's the thing. Like, I'm struggling with, if I had the right infrastructure right now, like an actual barn that I could bring them into farrow and put them back out in the pasture and catch piglets and stuff, doing that stuff out in the pasture it's tough. It's tough. It is tough. And then you can't, with how wishy-washy our climate is up here the last few winters, I don't dare farrow out in the pasture in the winter. Like, if it was cold and frozen and I could pack a house full and have a heat lamp set up or something, or, some kind of heating system set up, that's fine. But it's been muddy and wet, and then you're worried about piglets drowning. And then not only that, trying to keep the boar, my boar's got to be 500-600 pounds now. He's a big boy. Keeping him away from the girls when I don't want him breeding is I got to build a whole new facility just to keep the boar separate.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. I almost don't even have that option. So it's they're going to be in together, and that is what it is, because otherwise I'm building something completely different to keep them separate. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, because it's like I had that discussion where it's like I wasn't happy. Well, I can't say I wasn't happy with how this batch of feeders came out. They're gorgeous, and now that I've had them for longer, they're pretty much up to weight. Like they'll probably dress out right around 180-ish, right around there, which I'm happy.
How old are they now, Kyle?
11 months. They'll be 12 months next month.
Yeah, that's same thing I ran into with my Mangalitsa crosses.
Yeah. So we tried it again with Red. He's got the same genetics, but now he has Yorkshire and Duroc in there too. Yeah. So if these piglets come out the way I'm hoping they'll come out, we'll keep it going, and it is what it is. Yeah. If not, I might get rid of Red, and might look into just AIing her for genetics, and we'll just breed Herefords.
Yeah.
They're good pigs. And that's the thing. People are like, well, if they're such good pigs, why don't you just raise them? And it's like, I could, but I also want to see what this looks like, because the meat quality's out of this world, and I can't.
Mm-hmm. I can. That's what it comes down to. You're doing what you want to do with them.
I'm an adult. You can't tell me what pig fucks with the other pig. On that note, we're coming up on an hour here. This is we stayed on topic. We stayed fully,
for the most part,
fully on topic this entire podcast. It was good.
I'm proud of us.
I'm so proud of us.
It doesn't seem like it's been an hour already.
No,
it always words. There they are. Always goes by super quick.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, where can everyone find you?
Yep, as always, Evergreen Farm 19 on YouTube, Instagram, sometimes TikTok.
Beautiful.
Joe?
Every week here with Kyle on Meet the Critters, Blakesley Acres on YouTube, Blakesley Acres on TikTok now, and Facebook. I've been trying to post a little bit more to our Facebook page and put some reels out and play around with all three and try to get more of a following on all three. So we'll see. Brand new to TikTok, so it's a learning curve, but playing around with it. It's been fun. Yeah.
Sweet deal. And as always, you can find me everywhere at the Body Shop not the Body Shop. That's the name of my business. If you need an animal cut up that's in northern New Hampshire, reach out to me at the Body Shop 603. All of my social media is at Backwoods Butcher 603. So that is YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You can find the podcast anywhere you download podcast, on Apple, Google, Spotify, and obviously here on YouTube. We have been kicking ass and taking names over on TikTok. I'm making it my bitch. That's my new goal, is to just crush it. So we're having a lot of fun over there. So go check me out over there for sure. Other than that, yeah, you guys got anything else you want to toss out before we close out?
I think we're good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching.